I dated James for 2 months, just when I thought I'd finally latched onto a money tree and could live a worry-free, happy life from then on. He told me he'd been lying to me. I'm not a rich second generation at all. I lied to you. I'm actually just a corporate drone with a monthly salary of $3,000. I originally wanted to keep it from you forever. After all, I've really had a great time with you. But James looked embarrassed and said, the money I spent on you in these 2 months has emptied all the savings I've accumulated over the years. Matthew, I'm really broke. The shrimp that James had peeled for me was still in my mouth, and before I could swallow it, fell out of my mouth, which was so shocked that I couldn't close it. Lied to me? James quickly reached out and caught the shrimp. Yeah, why did you lie to me? Because I like you. But you said you'd only date rich people, so I resorted to this. I threw my chopsticks on the table. You son of a gun. James, can you just casually pretend to be a rich second generation? Wait, the watches, cufflinks, clothes, and all that stuff you gave me before, they're not all fake, are they? James pursed his lips and smiled. No way. How could I give you fake things? Well, at least he has a bit of a conscience. At least I didn't sleep with him for nothing. James and I broke up cleanly. The moment he confessed his identity, I broke up with him. He tearfully hugged me and said, can't we really talk it over? I may be poor, but I love you. I may not be able to give you money, but I can give you my life. Don't break up, okay? I rolled my eyes. You're giving me useless crap. I sold the odds and ends that James gave me and gave him half of the money. Here, don't say I'm not loyal. Don't do such stupid things in the future. Is it easy to make money? You worked so hard and saved for years, and it all went down the drain in 2 months. I'm telling you, if I were your dad, I'd kick your ass. Be more careful when looking for a partner in the future. You were lucky to run into someone as kind as me who could give you half back. If you're unlucky, it'll all be gone. I don't know where you got the guts to pretend to be rich. Is your head full of mush? James rested his chin in his hand and looked at the stacks of money on the table. I couldn't chase you without money. They said you only hung out with rich people. If I didn't spend money, would you have taken a fancy to me? I paused for a moment. Well, we may not be in that kind of relationship, but we can still be friends. After all, you're really my type. I'm quite satisfied with your looks and figure, and I even like how talkative you are. James pushed aside the stacks of money on the table and leaned closer to me. Who the hell wants to be just friends with you? Every time I see you, I only have one thing in mind. Between adults, it's normal to be emotionally invested during a breakup, or just physical. Holding James' sweaty back, I finally couldn't hold back my tears and blurted out, James, you son of a gun. Can't you earn a bit more? $3,000 a month? Who can live on that? It's just too little. I don't want to part with you. After the breakup, to keep myself from being pathetic and going after him, I had the foresight to block and delete all his contact information, even on that shopping app. For those 3 months, James completely vanished from my world. The next time we met was at the birthday party of a young master who had just returned from abroad. I was trying to curry favor with the young master, and he was acting as the young master's lackey. I pulled James to a corner where no one would notice. How much does William pay you a month? James rubbed his nose. $4,500, mister. William is quite generous. I spat in disdain. Just $4,500 and you stay up with him till 3:30 in the morning? Are you stupid? James lowered his head and smiled. It's not bad. It's $1,500 more than the $3,000 I used to get. He leaned closer to me and lowered his head to tug at my collar that happened to reveal a bit of skin. I was thinking that if I make money well, I might get you back by my side soon. After some mental struggle, I finally allowed James' increasingly bold hand. You think $4,500 can get me back? $45,000 would be more like it. Forget it. I won't scold you. It's late at night, and you've had a tough time. I reached into my pocket, took out 2 small pills, and held them out to James. James stared at the things in my palm and raised an eyebrow. Liver-protecting pills, I said. Don't keep staying up with him like this and drinking like there's no tomorrow. Those rich guys have a bunch of doctors and nutritionists following them around, so they can do whatever they want. But what about you? How many lives do you have? I saw that there were already several empty bottles of wine on the table. You earn so little a month. What are you stupidly doing? Blocking drinks for him? James laughed, lowered his head to hug me, and rubbed his face against my neck. The smell of alcohol filled my nostrils. Baby, you're the one who cares about me. You're so good to me. This is William's birthday party. Although we're hiding in a corner where no one notices, with so many people around, there's always a chance someone might come by and see us. James and I, one of us was just trying every trick in the book to seduce the party's main guy, and the other was his little sidekick desperately taking drinks for him. Now here we are, hugging each other behind William's back, and even thinking about going further. Where does that leave William's face? Besides, if he finds out I have something going on with his sidekick, he'll surely look down on me even more, and my plan to latch onto him will go down the drain. Thinking of this, I reached out to push James away, but as soon as I touched him, I couldn't help it and hugged him even tighter. It's been 3 months. We haven't seen each other for 3 months. Not only that, but I haven't even gotten a single bit of news from him. It's like he completely vanished from my world. Like I never knew him at all. Like those passionate moments we had were just a dream I had after drinking too much. When I woke up, I was still in that tiny rented room, listening to the disgusting noises from the next door and piecing together my torn homework. It's so dark all around. Even the moon can't shine through. James. The guy in my arms let out a muffled sound. I wasn't sure if he was answering me or just making some meaningless noise from being drunk. Well, considering you're kind of good looking and you've kept your figure pretty well, once I managed to get my hands on this rich, brainless playboy, I'll use his money to keep you. You won't have to be his sidekick anymore, and you won't have to risk your life taking drinks for anyone. I added James back on WeChat. Just wait, I'll contact you when it's done. James looked at the phone screen, his hand swiping at something. But isn't this a bit unethical? Oh, come on, who cares? Anyway, I heard that William has so much money he doesn't know what to do with it. When he keeps a mistress, he gives them houses, cars, and big diamond rings. Since he doesn't really care, why can't I earn that money? And I motioned for James to come closer, making a mysterious gesture with my hand, telling him to put his ear close. I also heard that he has an ex-lover that he just can't seem to get over. Even though they've had their share of fights and grudges over the years, he still can't let go of this ex in his heart. James frowned. Where did you hear all this? Don't worry about it. Anyway, I don't think William is a good guy. He pretends to be so love-struck and nostalgic, but he's still out there keeping mistresses. A jerk like him, taking some of his money is like doing a good deed, like being a modern-day layphone and ridding the people of a pest. I patted James on the shoulder, trying to look profound. Just wait. Once I get him, your good days will be here. For the happy life of James and me, I tried my best to catch William's attention. He wasn't really interested in someone like me who was always pushing themselves onto him. He preferred those aloof and noble types, but I was just incredibly thick-skinned. He sneered that my services were cheap. I just gave him a forced smile and said, "They may be cheap now, but with your touch, they'll be worth a fortune." He treated me like a tool to liven up the dinner table. So I popped 2 liver-protecting pills in my left hand and chugged straight from a bottle of whiskey in my right. When he got drunk and started reminiscing about his ex, all affectionate, I sat with him on the curb, throwing out some chicken soup for the soul quotes every now and then. Mr. William, you were asking why people have to go through so much pain. I think it's for contrast. Your ex made you feel pain, and then when you meet the right person, you'll think, what was I thinking back then? And wow, this person in front of me is so amazing. Mr. William, actually, after pain, it's easier to feel those little bits of happiness. That's really precious because not everyone has the ability to sense it. William crushed the can in his hand and looked at me. Didn't expect you to have such a serious side. You're quite the talker. What? Have you been through some pain too? I gave a silly grin and said, a life where I can't win, Mr. William is the darkest moment of my life. William laughed too and said, you rascal. After that day, our relationship got closer. After getting to know me, William thought I was pretty decent. I was good looking enough, had only had one relationship, was clean cut, had a high EQ, was thick-skinned, knew how to handle situations, knew my place, and was interesting. He had a good time chatting with me. Considering all these factors, William extended an olive branch. Name your price. The price I named wasn't high, and William even offered to raise it by 20,000. His assistant would bring the contract when they came to work the next morning, and then I could sign it. I was over the moon and called James right away. Come out for a late-night snack. No more spicy hot pot. Let's have something nice today. I treated James to a Thai restaurant I'd been longing for. I ordered dishes like there was no tomorrow. I've really missed this place. The last time we ate here, you treated me. We only ordered a few dishes, and it still cost over 900 yuan. You must have been heartbroken. You hardly ate anything. A third of your monthly salary went into my stomach. But it's okay. I'm treating today. Eat to your heart's content. In the future, eat whatever you want and don't be stingy. James peeled a shrimp and put it on my plate. Did you win the lottery? You're this happy. I put the shrimp in my mouth and chewed. It was so delicious. How could it be this delicious? It's almost like winning the lottery. William is going to sign a contract with me tomorrow. 50 grand a month. 50 grand. I held out one hand to gesture. At first, I only asked for 30 grand. But guess what he said? He said I was selling myself too cheap. He added another 20 grand. Although he's not so great in terms of his character in relationships, he's got a good eye. I was so immersed in the temptation of the delicious food that I didn't notice James's face across from me had darkened. I kept chattering on. Don't work for William anymore. Quit your job. Find an easy and enjoyable job. Or you can even take a break from working for a while. I'll support you. James put down his chopsticks. What? You really planning to keep me as your kept man? Yeah, I said it. You're my type. The contract didn't go through. When I woke up groggy in the morning, I saw a message from William. Not signing. Not signing? Just like that, he's not signing? I wanted to call him and ask why. How could a real man go back on his word like this? But he deleted me as a friend and blocked my number. I don't get it. I have no idea what about me didn't satisfy him. Could there have been someone in that Thai restaurant yesterday who was in cahoots with William? Did he find out I was going to use his money to support a young lover? Will he take his anger out on James? After all, James hasn't quit his job yet. Worried sick and unable to reach either of them, I had no choice but to stake out the places William frequented. And guess what? I actually found them both. James was sitting beside William, his arm draped over the couch, a cigarette pinched between his fingertips. William was smiling with his eyes half closed. I just thought that kid was kind of interesting, just having some fun. Are you really that mad? Come on. He raised the glass in his hand. I know it wasn't easy for you to get rid of him, having to act day in and day out. I was wrong. Okay. I won't tease you anymore. After all, we didn't sign anything, right? It was the first time I'd ever seen William sucking up to someone like this, and to his own lackey. James had a cold expression, looking like he didn't want to deal with him. Only after William downed 3 glasses of apology did he finally drawl. William, we're not getting any younger. It's time to settle down. We can't keep fooling around with some guy forever, can we? The smile faded from William's face. You settle down if you want. I'm not done having fun yet. How much longer do you think you can keep having fun with Grandpa Sebastian's health the way it is? William's face darkened, and he didn't say a word. James continued. My old man has Grandpa Sebastian on his mind. He wants to help him fulfill a wish. A comrade in arms of his has a daughter. She's about your age, studied finance in Germany, and just graduated and came back to the country this year. My old man wants me to take you to meet her. James spoke calmly, but William couldn't stay calm. He suddenly stood up. James, you make it sound so casual. What exactly does he take me for? Who did I come back for? Who did I not get married for? Who did I get on bad terms with my family for? Don't you know all this? Yes, I made a mistake back then. I'm sorry to you, but I apologized and tried to make it up to you. I've done everything I should and could. Why are you still treating me like this? William leaned down, pressing his hand on James's shoulder. From my angle, it looked like they were about to kiss. James didn't flinch, just stared at the approaching lips, his eyes still emotionless. Finally, just as their lips were about to touch, William stopped. Do you really want to push me onto someone else so badly, James? Fine, I'll do as you wish. I don't know when William noticed I was eavesdropping. When he grabbed my collar, yanked me over, and threw me onto the table, I couldn't even stand steadily and ended up falling to the ground. William somehow produced a contract and pinned my hand down. Weren't you the one who wanted to sign a contract? Weren't you eager to sell yourself to me? Fine, let's do it. Sign right now. But I'm adding one clause. If you so much as lay a finger on anyone else during the contract period, you'll have to pay 10 times the compensation. That contract had already been drawn up by the assistant. His talk about waiting until work hours and such was just a stalling tactic. He wanted James to find out and come to him. He thought James was jealous and was secretly delighted. But James just didn't want me to bother him. The two of them, ex-lovers, bickered and schemed. I was nothing but a passer-by who served as a means to spice up their relationship. And here I was, actually delusional enough to try to scheme against my sugar daddy and keep James as my kept man. I was more of a clown than a clown. I scrambled up awkwardly from the floor, glanced at James whose face looked grim, and immediately realized this was a game between two wealthy guys. I, a nobody, couldn't afford to offend them. I shook my head and gave William an obsequious smile. Mr. William, you're angry right now. How can we sign something just like that? We don't need to sign anything, and you don't need to give me money either. Just give me a shout if you need anything, and I'll do anything for you. Oh, I just remembered I haven't hung out my clothes to dry. I should go now. Before I could turn around, William grabbed me by the neck and yanked me back. I told you to sign, so sign. What's with all the nonsense? What, you think the money's too little? I shook my head repeatedly. No, it's not little. If it's not little, then sign quickly. Mr. William, you'd better find someone else. Before I could finish, James calmly picked up that thin piece of paper, tore it in half, and threw it in front of us. There was a few seconds of silence, and then William laughed. James, what do you mean by this? It's my business to keep someone. What does it have to do with you? Don't worry about him pestering you. Trust me, he can't afford to pay 10 times the compensation. James looked up at me. Come with me. I've always been a snob. Ever since I was a kid, I've been sucking up to whoever was rich and getting close to whoever was willing to spend money on me. My mom said I was smart, having been influenced by her since childhood. Although I'm a good-for-nothing boy, I take after her in looks. I can still carry on her legacy in the future. The neighbor sneered at her. Sophia, other mothers send their kids to school, hoping they'll grow up to be successful and capable. But you, not only do you not have a proper job, you're also teaching your kid bad things. My mom leaned against the door, stroking her hair, her red-lipped smile full of charm. My own kid, I can teach however I want. Instead of worrying about other people's kids, you'd better worry more about your own husband. I've known since I was a kid that I'm good looking and can get a lot with this face. Mom said that if you want to live well, you've got to be smart, have sharp eyes, and be able to tell who's rich and who's willing to spend money on you. She said, Matthew, feelings are the most useless thing. Don't be fooled by those empty vows. Remember, the cold, hard cash in your hand is the most real thing. I couldn't quite understand what Mom said back then. I thought the chubby kid in class who'd share a 50-cent pack of crispy noodles with me was nice. But I didn't like the kid who knocked me down the stairs while horsing around and then tossed me an expensive kid's watch, saying we were even without so much as an apology. I was too young then. I didn't know what the world was like, how society worked, how people should get along with each other, or what was right and what was wrong. There were so many things I didn't get. I didn't know why there were always strange uncles showing up at home, why all the neighbors disliked both Mom and me, or why later my classmates didn't want to play with me either. They said, with a mom like that, he must have some kind of contagious disease. Let's not play with him. He's so gross. It was hard to please the neighbor aunts. They said, like mother, like son. It was hard to please my classmates. They said, I have a contagious disease. Gradually, it even got hard to please the teachers. My grades were no longer at the top of the class, and they only liked the kids at the very top of the report card. I started to believe what my mom said. In this world, only the real money in your hand is the most useful. I thought she was right. After all, that kid who threw me the phone watch could get Mom's forgiveness without even an apology, and could easily get all the kids to hang around him because his toys were always the latest models. I started to understand the rules of how this world works. After junior high, I didn't go to school anymore. Mom said that compared to school, Other places were easier to meet rich people. She bought me a really expensive and nice outfit, styled my hair for me, and looking at me in the mirror, she smiled happily. Our Matthew is the most handsome. Honey, you don't know. Being good looking is really useful. Besides money, it's the second most useful thing in the world. She asked me, do you think Mom is pretty? By then, she was already extremely thin, just skin and bones, with her eyes deeply sunken, looking like a witch in a cartoon. But I still nodded and said, yes, you are. She smiled, but the smile was no longer as charming as before. Instead, carried a sickly desolation. Your dad said the same thing back then. He said I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. He said he loved me and would marry me. But guess what happened later? My mom paused, and the smile on her face vanished. Later on, he married the daughter of the richest family in the city. He doesn't know you exist at all. I didn't let him know. It's not the right time yet. Matthew, your mom's good boy. When you step into the filthiest mud step by step, just like Mom taught you, then Mom will take you to see him and let him have a good look at you. Guess, what kind of expression would he have if he knew his own son had followed in my footsteps and become the kind of person he despises the most? My mom put her arm around my shoulder and gradually tightened her grip. I could feel her long nails digging into my flesh through the thin fabric. Blood slowly seeped out from my shoulder, but I didn't move or make a sound. I didn't want to shatter her dreams. In the end, my mom never achieved her ultimate dream. Illness struck like a landslide, and she left in a hurry, not even leaving me a single word. I had no clue about my father, whom I'd never met, but I thought maybe this was for the best. Of course, the reason I was with James was also because I was a snob. Back then, a lot of people were into me. Mom was right. I had perfectly inherited her face that was impossible to forget once you saw it. There were also a lot of people chasing me. Some threw money at me, while others invested their emotions. I wavered depending on how much money they offered. To be honest, they'd already given me plenty, especially right after my mom passed away. She didn't leave me anything. I was just a young kid with no education, barely scraping by, making a pittance and constantly getting the short end of the stick. A lot of people extended an olive branch to me. They knew I was my mom's son, and that she had been grooming me for that kind of thing since I was a kid. They also knew that my face was as strikingly beautiful as hers. They cornered me at home and on my way to work, and gave me money to keep me in line. My mom told me once that this was a way out for me, an easy and smooth path, but I was still scared. I was 16 at that time, an age when I could pretend to be brave, but still couldn't truly muster up the courage. I met James when I was at my bravest. Back then, I was like a fence sitter, wavering among a lot of people. One day I'd curry favor with this person, and the next day I'd fawn over that one. I was running around like a sycophant every day, bustling about non-stop. I didn't even notice James, who was surrounded by people. Even though his face was breathtakingly handsome, if someone didn't give me money, it was hard for me to notice them. He probably felt a bit crushed. After all, in that club, I was the only one who was so blind as not to know who he was, the only one who didn't notice his presence. So he started throwing money at me too, more than anyone else. It was like an auction. I was an item on the display platform, and there were shouts from the audience. On my 20th birthday, I had my first relationship in life. It had nothing to do with the romance and innocence of youth. It was simply a case of the highest bidder winning. James was great. He had money and was generous with it when it came to me. I got to live in a big house I'd never even dreamed of, buy beautiful clothes whose price tags I'd been too scared to look at before, eat tons of delicious food, and go to lots of fun places. During the time I was with James, I became even more convinced that money was the best thing in the world. Could make everyone feel happy, even someone like me who had never experienced such a feeling. But then, all of a sudden one day, James ran out of money. He said he'd spent all the money he'd saved over the years on me. He said he could no longer afford my exorbitant expenses. Then he asked me if I was willing to live a poor life with him, a life without much money. I don't want to. This goes against the ideas I've held since I was a kid. It doesn't match the fearlessness I had at 20. I don't want to go back to those old days. I definitely have to, and must, keep being happy, but I just couldn't bear to part with him. Not at all. I thought at that time, if only I were the one with a lot of money, then we could still live this kind of life together. But I didn't have any money. Every day since I dropped out of school at 16 was a living hell, pure misery. So I told James, I can't live a hard life with you. So when I ran into James again and saw that he wasn't doing well, I told him, I can take you with me and we can live the good life. What's morality? What's shame? I've never known about these things since I was a kid, and I don't want to care about them either. I wasn't raised to be a good kid. I'm vain. I'll sell out for a profit, and I want something for nothing. These are just my most trivial flaws. Right and wrong mean nothing to me. All I want is to make a lot of money and then live a good life with James. That was the second brave decision I made when I was 20. What was the first one again? Oh, it was that decision I agonized over for years before finally deciding to sell myself and be with James. You've seen it. William is no good guy. Stay away from him from now on. Don't sign any contract with him casually. Be careful that you might not only get no money, but end up losing everything. What kind of decent person do you think he is? Do you think following him around for a few days and buttering him up a bit will make him head over heels for you? Matthew, how old are you? Can you stop daydreaming like a child? Why are you looking at me like that? Yes, I messed up your little scheme, but there are so many ways to make money. Why do you always dream of getting something for nothing? Do you really have to leech off someone to survive? Can't you get a decent job? James was blabbering nonstop. He couldn't get to the point, and I couldn't figure out what he was trying to say. I thought that maybe when people are feeling guilty, they tend to be a bit incoherent. So I spoke up and gave him an out. How've you been? James' blabbering mouth finally stopped. He seemed a bit confused and said, What? So, you don't need to stay up till the wee hours with someone for just $4.500 and drink all the booze on the table by yourself, right? He rubbed his fingers uncomfortably. I didn't mean to lie to you. What was it? He racked his brains but couldn't come up with an answer. I didn't need him to say it. I knew why. After all, I'm a real snob. If he were still that well-off playboy, a rich second generation, I'd definitely hound him relentlessly. That's what James was thinking, and he wasn't wrong about me. I really would have done that because I couldn't bear to part with his money. Being with James was just too addictive, and I desperately wanted to stay happy like that forever. James was smart. Pretending to be broke was indeed the best way to shake me off quickly. I nodded to show I understood. Good then. As long as you're doing well, I won't support you financially anymore. I looked up and studied his face, the one I'd been longing for day and night. Out of nowhere, the faint, nagging pain shot through my heart. You just asked me if I could stop relying on others to live and find a decent job. I thought about it carefully, and I'm afraid the answer is still no. I'm just this kind of person. I need a lot of money to survive. I'm sorry to disappoint you. James wanted to say something more, but when the words were on the tip of his tongue, perhaps he thought I was really hopeless. I waited for ages, but he never got the words out. I turned around and took a deep breath. James, you were actually right, because if you hadn't lied to me, I probably would have really gone all out to pester you. I'm really good at that. Once I set my eyes on someone, it's hard for them to get rid of me. It's a skill I've been learning and honing since I was a kid. After 20 years, I've mastered it. Thinking about a lot of things from before, I smiled, my tone full of shameless pride. Whether it's you, William, or a lot of other people I've met before, none of them could do anything about me. But don't worry, I won't pester you. I don't know why, but the thought of you being in a tough spot makes me a bit sad. It's the kind of sadness that no amount of money, or having steak and Thai food over and over again, can ease. After the plan to cling to the powerful failed, some strange rumors spread. They said that William and James, the two young masters who grew up together, had a falling out over me. Because of this rumor, instead of decreasing, the number of people interested in me increased. They all wanted to see what kind of person I was, someone who could make two young masters, who had been friends since childhood, fight each other. A lot of money, an insane amount. I've never seen that much in my life, but for some reason, the courage that had suddenly swept over me overnight vanished just as quickly the next night. I became timid again, so I tossed and turned all night in that tiny, cramped rental apartment. Finally, I don't know what came over me, but I suddenly thought I'd give changing jobs a try. I had no degree, no experience, and wasn't even very strong. I couldn't do anything. So, I dug out all the money I'd saved over the years and bought myself an electric bike. To deliver food, I used to think my only advantage was my good looks. So when I was selling drinks at the club, while others were pulling out all the stops to fawn and flatter, I was the only one who just stood there, not knowing anything, yet there were still bosses willing to buy my drinks. I used to think this was my only advantage. Just like my mom said, I was born to do this. But now I've found that I can also do a great job delivering food. I've been doing it for a week, completed a lot of orders, and there isn't a single bad review. Everyone gets to enjoy a hot and delicious meal right on time. I'm not just good looking, but there are still people who find me. They think that all those who go from luxury to frugality are just trying to build a good reputation for themselves, so as to sell themselves at a better price. No one believes that I can really become a really good delivery guy. The same goes for James. So when he finally managed to find me without any contact information, he was completely freaked out. With such a high price tag, he didn't have any confidence. He didn't know if, when he found me again, I'd already become someone else's property. James stopped me when I was about to leave work. I was riding my electric scooter in a rush and almost crashed into his luxury car. He stumbled out of the car and hugged me. "You scared the hell out of me, Matthew. You really did." I patted his arm and said, "I'm fine. You should be more concerned about my car. The headlight fell off. I was going straight and you made a turn. It's clearly your fault." James let go of me, stared at my face for a while, and then finally noticed my outfit. You're delivering food now." I patted my electric scooter proudly. "I'm a rider with 0 negative reviews now. Not a single customer has ever gone hungry on my watch." James laughed and said, "Wow, that's really impressive. Thanks for the compliment, but you still have to pay for my bike's headlight. It's brand new. This e-bike isn't just a vehicle, it's my comrade in arms." James nodded. "Yeah, I'll compensate you. Let me drive you home first." William and James had a complete falling out. I knew it even before James stopped me on the road and scratched my bike's headlight. After all, their story had become the talk of the town, spreading like wildfire. And as a delivery guy, I often found myself inadvertently right in the middle of all the gossip. They had been together before, but William betrayed James. Just as James graduated and was planning to start his own business to break free from his family's constraints, William snatched his most crucial project. As a result, James' business venture failed, and he had no choice but to return to the Zhang family, becoming a puppet in their hands. Meanwhile, William made a fortune from that project and rose rapidly in his career. After that, the two went their separate ways. I heard this gossip during lunchtime. The rice noodle shop was extremely crowded, and the owner was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. I was standing aside waiting for the order to be ready when bits and pieces of the gossip reached my ears. I think that James definitely hasn't gotten over that William. My cousin worked as a waiter at William's birthday party and saw with his own eyes that James took all the drinks for him. There was a whole table of alcohol. James drank it all. He's really something. The birthday party. I remembered that birthday party where I reunited with James. Turns out, at that time, he wasn't some hard-pressed, hapless wage earner. Instead, he was doing it for the one he loved. Not only did I misunderstand, but I also thought I knew it all and tried to seduce his beloved. I even used the money of his beloved to keep him and spoke ill of William, calling him a scumbag. What was James thinking of me back then? Did he think I was a ridiculous clown? Or did he consider me a despicable jerk? Maybe he even wanted to beat me up. For all I know, the gossip continued to float over. And William publicly revealed their relationship right then and there just to be with James. Word has it the old man in the family was so furious he almost kicked the bucket, and they barely managed to save him. Geez, things have gotten to this point. You could say they really care deeply for each other. I didn't catch the gossip that followed. The order's ready, and I've got to go deliver the food. Whether it's deep affection or a complex web of grudges, I'm a 5-star delivery guy. I can't let my customers go hungry even for a second. I said I wouldn't pester James, but he didn't believe me. I said I wanted to be a 5-star delivery guy with rave reviews from everyone, and James didn't believe me either. He threw money at me like he used to, even more so. He said, "Matthew, I I did think about asking you for a favor, but I don't want to anymore, he said. We may not give you much, but there's enough money. Trust me, no one can give you more than I can, he said. I did like William, but he betrayed me. He was with me just to steal that project. What I thought was true love turned out to be a calculation in the end. So from that moment on, I realized that relationships between people are just like that. I want something from you, and you want something from me. It's like a balance, fair and square. That's pretty good. Matthew, you want my money, and I happen to have it. I want you, and you just need to stand there. It's also fair. What a load of nonsense, I said as I put on my safety helmet. I'm going to be late for my food delivery. My past bad deeds made me an untrustworthy person. So much so that James still thinks I'm greedy for money. If I glance at a luxury car on the roadside, he can't wait to buy me one just like it. But I don't even have a driver's license. It's like giving a gift in the wrong way. On the contrary, a new colleague I met a few days ago gave me a small windmill that can be attached to my safety helmet. When I ride my electric scooter all over the street, the windmill spins around with me. I really like it. James watched as I returned all the gifts he gave me, and the disappointment on his face was obvious. I squatted on the roadside eating freshly made grilled cold noodles with a sausage and double eggs. It was so fragrant. It made me feel as happy as when I first ate Thai food. I patted the spot next to me, motioning for James to sit down. He squeezed his long legs and his expensive clothes and sat with me by the roadside filled with car exhaust. James, you said that people should want something from each other, and that's fair. I quite agree. I used to think I just wanted your money. After all, among so many people, you gave the most. But recently I realized that before you showed up, many people also offered me high prices, although not as high as yours. For me, who was only 18 or 19 and having a really tough time, it was already a huge sum of money that I didn't even know how to spend. I half-turned and generously handed James a bamboo stick, asking him to taste this delicious food. But he didn't move and just stared at me. What do you mean, Matthew? Don't stop halfway. Speak clearly. Well, if he didn't want it, I'd eat it myself. James, my growing up process is kind of complicated. I was a bit confused and even extreme in my understanding of many things. So it wasn't until I was 21 that I belatedly realized that I seemed to like you. That's why when you came along, I had the courage to take that step and be kept by someone. No matter how you understand it, for me, those 2 months were an unforgettable experience like first love. James beside me started breathing rapidly. I continued, but James, that was my 20th year, just an ordinary year in my life, easily overshadowed by the future. Like so many years before, once it's gone, I won't keep looking back. James, you're late. I'm 21 today. I'm a really slow-witted person. It was only half a year after we broke up that I realized I had my first sincere crush. But I think James might be even slower than me. It took him so many years after the breakup to realize that he had nothing but pure hatred for William. He hated William for his betrayal, for his ulterior motives, for letting down his 20-year-old self, and for making it impossible for him to trust the feelings offered by others in the following years. Our 20th years, though separated by many years, were both equally ordinary and messy, like a tangled mess that's hard to cut through or sort out. I stood up, dusted the dirt off my pants, and said, James, aren't you going to wish me a happy birthday? James was still looking up at me, with the corners of his eyes wet. Matthew, I interrupted him. Do you believe now that I can become an awesome 5-star delivery guy? James was stunned for a while, then he smiled and said, You already are. As for James, I only know he's even more slow-witted than me. Well, let him take his time. I'm moving forward. Maybe one day he can catch up, but I won't wait for him. He has to chase on his own.